Okay guys, so I want to talk to you guys about how you could implement the Strength Coach Success Business Blueprint. And there's actually many ways, especially when you're doing it with these kind of like smaller operations where you're not putting in a lot of extended hours. You're running more of a small operation, and it's what I call low hassle, high profit. And I actually learned that in my earliest years, before I even owned the gym, when I was training athletes out of the house, and I was actually in my first mastermind group. So I loved that saying, I loved that quote, and it's something that's stuck in my mind every time. So anytime I got to that high hassle, I was just like, we got to cut that out. So let's get in front of the whiteboard here and put a couple things down for you guys. Woo! Right here. Okay. First guy, part-time. Now, tell you guys a story. A buddy of mine, he came to every seminar I held, every seminar I hosted. If I hosted other business seminars, other strength training seminars, he was at it. He loved it. He wanted to open up his own gym. He was a cop, married, kids, but he could not grasp the business stuff, the website stuff, the marketing. It was not him. He tried, but he couldn't do it. After struggling, and it was a couple of years, I finally said, dude, shut down that gym. You're struggling to pay the rent. All that stress is like fucking up your family life. You don't need it. You have a 2-car garage. You're a cop in town, so you can't get arrested. I go, why don't you train people and go back to the thing that got you passionate at first, which was those basic workouts, those early days of CrossFit. He was a CrossFit affiliate that you love, those garage gym, photos that we'd see on the early days CrossFit journal. I go back to it. Do it on Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, whatever time you want. I go, you train with them, and I go get 10 to 20 people coming in for $150 a month. And I go, when you train, your kids could just kind of hang out, it's in your garage. On a Wednesday or Friday, you could grill in the spring and summer, have a beer or two with your members, make it more of a community. And I said, dude, you're gonna just cut all your hassles out. If you get 20 people at $150 a month, that's $3,000 a month. That's 36 grand a year. I go, if you want to, I go, shut it down in August. Give yourself a whole month off. Or if you take family vacations, because it's such a small community-driven, we could call it a business or not, because it's such a community-driven club, you could have one of your members run the gym for a week. And that story brings me to this next thing. I was watching a video that CrossFit did on a doctor, and I believe if you guys YouTube it, it's called just look up Bucks Gym CrossFit. And this guy is a doctor, and he started just him and training a couple of the co-workers from the hospital out of his house. He was on like a large farm property, and then he converted his garage or maybe like a horse stall into a little workout area for CrossFit. He had a barbell. He put up a set of rings, and they just started training. And with this 3 or 4 or 5 people, became 8, 10, 12, and then he had 70-something members training on his property out on this kind of acreage, this farmland that he owned. And what happens is by him creating his own rules and being a doctor, and you could be anything, a cop, a teacher, a nurse, whatever career you have, you can run these things part-time. There's no rule that says you have to open 5 days a week, 6 days a week, and so forth. So you could do this part-time, and those part-time hours could be afternoon or evening, could be in the morning, could be only several days a week, could even be just Saturday mornings. If it's a smaller culture, a smaller group, you could train with them. So that's number one. We got the part-time coach. Crappy handwriting. All right, number 2, you got somebody kind of like what I'm doing, full-time. The gym is a large chunk of my income, but as you guys know, just from being part of this Strength Coach Blueprint, you can see that I leverage what I do. I take my knowledge and I share it and I teach it. And I do that with the business. I do that with the training information. Now, you could do full-time, whereas I'm kind of part-time hours because we just train athletes. But at my second location, we train adults in the morning, and then in the afternoon and evening, we train athletes. And then in the final hour, 7 p.m., we have adults and athletes mixed together as one group, and it works very well. We were running a later group, like an 8 o'clock, but we felt it was too late, and I actually didn't want the coaches being around that late. It tends to burn them out. So you can take this stuff, these lessons, and implement it into a full-time business. And full-time meaning it's your only source of income. It is your career, but you can develop and build and earn a full-time income without putting in that 40, 50, 80 hours a week. Meaning, we train adults for 2 hours in the morning, 6:30 and 9 a.m. We surveyed all of our members. We surveyed the parents of the athletes. We marketed to them internally, and they said 6:30 and 9 a.m. We were thinking it was going to be a 6 a.m. or a 5:45. They requested a 6:30. So you could take these lessons, implement them if you're going full-time. And now I want to give you guys kind of one of my favorites. So the part-time person, full-time person, and then full-time kind of somebody who has their own place. And then number 3, you are subleasing space. Now, how can we sublease space? So I'll tell you guys. I will tell you guys this. You can sublease an hour out of maybe a CrossFit gym that doesn't have anything going on at, let's say, 3:30, and you just want to train athletes. Okay, go to this CrossFit gym. Maybe you're an underground strength coach, and you've got your weightlifting course under you. Maybe you've gone to Travis Mash's weightlifting course certification. And you could just train athletes at 3:30 p.m. You're in somebody else's gym. Maybe you've got a corner to yourself, 2 squat racks. And what you want to do is check if this CrossFit or if this any kind, regular kind of gym, there's 24-hour gyms out there, and say, hey, what would it cost me? Is there, some sort of way I could sublease from you guys a flat monthly rate? Some of them might say give a percentage of the profit. My preference would be a flat monthly rate, but percentage would be okay if they help you market. And you're giving them and putting something into their gym that they don't currently offer. So a lot of CrossFit places don't train athletes. Maybe or maybe not they have CrossFit kids. You could also sublease space depending on where you live. I don't know if this is considered sublease, but you would basically partner up with the recreation or the park or the beaches department if you live in Florida, California, and train people outdoors, running outdoor boot camps. I know I have friends that do this in Austin and other warm weather areas. Now, a little bit, it could get old with you carrying equipment around, but if you're just training maybe all women, you might give them 2 things that they have to invest in. Might be a pair of dumbbells, and you could say if you're a beginner, 8-pound dumbbells, intermediate, 12, advanced, 15-pound dumbbells. And be an affiliate of Perform Better or any of these other fitness companies, so you're making money by recommending some equipment. And then maybe those sand bells. I know I've seen Spartan Race uses them a lot. My buddy Joe, founder of Spartan Race, utilizes them. And you guys can use these sand bells, which would be like a sandbag, squat, clean and press, bent over row, lunges, Turkish get-ups from the shoulder. So you could lease, essentially, technically, lease space from the outdoors, okay, the parks and recreation department. And other options with these subleases are, you can run these seasonally. So if you just want to train athletes, you partner up with the local high school and you go and run speed / agility / strength camp, and they market to their students. They put out flyers at the end of the year, and then the students sign up for the camps. You could run them in 1 or 2 week phases, and you could run them, you know, from the 2 weeks after school and maybe do all the way through the end of July. So the middle of June, then the beginning 2 weeks of July, then the end of July. You do them for 6 weeks, and maybe each camp, I'm just going to say for 2 weeks, costs $150. Let's say you get 20 kids. I don't, you know, what's 60 times, 20 times 150 is 3,000. So it would be $6,000 for 6 weeks. So do you see how there's a lot of ways that you guys can do this? And then I love to leverage things. So if I'm just running stuff seasonally, I might record some of these workouts. And then if I'm training these athletes and I'm not going to see them, I can utilize, like for example, I utilize software at the gym, Wodify, I utilize Train Heroic. You could utilize an online software where you could continue programming workouts for schools, for the teams, for the, you know, the coaches of the teams and the athletes. There's a lot of ways that we could implement these lessons, and basically running a, you know, strength and conditioning business. It's kind of got like this general framework. We're building relations. We're sharing our information through all these different media outlets. And then we also want to connect with the people and do stuff that's just beyond the phone, the Instagram, or whatever that social network might be the most popular at the time. So full-time, part-time, seasonal, you could take these lessons and apply them regardless. And guys, your business can evolve. If you start feeling the burnout, I've spoken to quite a number of coaches recently who were more into just coaching than they were doing all of the behind the scenes stuff. And what they did is they basically sold or shut down their gyms, and then they put themselves in positions where they could just coach. They maybe became a head coach at another gym and picked up a salary, or do what I'm telling you guys to do is you partner up with schools. I mentioned high school. A friend of mine years ago, he would teach it wasn't a fitness class, but the community college in his area offered like a fitness boot camp. The community college created some sort of a flyer, like those folding flyers, mailed them out to like every house in the town. Let's say it's whatever, like Jonesville, Alabama. They signed up. He taught them fitness boot camp. When the fitness boot camp was about to end, a week and a half out, he gave them his own flyer to continue training with him, and he didn't even own a gym. He was doing stuff with the Parks and Recreation Department, and he didn't do it during the winter time. He did it during the spring and summertime. Another thing, in the area that I live in now, in the summer, I see this lady, and she does fitness for new moms. And you see them at the park, so I'm assuming she partnered up with the Recreation and Park Department, but she does her own marketing. And she trains the ladies, and their babies are all in the strollers. You see them circled up. They might bring light dumbbells. They'll do like a circuit of exercises, then they'll jog with the strollers. So they're at the park, and it's amazing. There's like 20 to 30 women going through these workouts. The babies are crying, and it just opens up my mind and says, wow, we don't need a gym. We don't need a roof over our head. We need a niche. We have to provide a great experience. We've got to create a culture where we become friends and we like to hang out together. Like I see these women, when they're done working out, they're hanging out. There's a common bond amongst them being new moms. And it's really pretty powerful and pretty amazing. Then I see that lady when it's cold, like right now, I'm taking this video, it's cold outside. They're obviously not outside. She rents space within another fitness center, but she rents that space during their downtime. And she does one session in the morning. And think about this, if she's got 25, let's just say it's 25 people, I believe it's more, paying $150 a month, you know, I said, she's making $4,000 a month working 1 hour a day. Okay, so we've got to be smart. We've got to create that niche, take these lessons, and I want you guys to really expand your mind and think of that low hassle, high profit. If anything is a hassle or not high profit, we need to put the axe on it. That's it for this lesson, guys. Boom.